Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hey, hello, my name is Brittany. If you are not subscribed, please consider subscribing to my channel. I'm on my way to 1,000 subscribers. I kind of set a goal for myself stating that I must meet the goal of 1,000 subscribers before purchasing a camera for my channel. If you don't know, I film from my iPhone 8 and I really want a camera, especially for Vlogmas. So yeah, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and consider doing so.
Just trying to get the love you give, baby. Tell me what they know about my love. They know about my love. Tell me what they know about my love. Tell me what they know about my love. Tell me what they know about my love.
All right, you guys. So this will be considered the last episode. We have the finale next week, but this is the last episode of the X experience. Today, I am going to be discussing someone who, he was basically the last dude that I had interactions with. So this one is gonna be fresh, hard, difficult. Some of our dealings makes me embarrassed, but we gotta get through it. Okay, so you know what? First we gotta go over his name. So let's see, because I wrote these down, you guys. I'm so glad to be on the last one. We are going to call him I can't even say it. Cultured Catfishing blank. Cultured Catfishing blank. Okay, so I met this guy, I think I was around the age of 27, and at the time I met him on Tinder. His Tinder profile said 27. Now, when I looked at his pictures, I noticed that he appeared young, athletic build. I don't know what other picture he had up there, but I remember that one. But anyway, I thought I was meeting this small, athletic build type of guy on Tinder. We matched, obviously, and we messaged each other. I think on Tinder, it does tell you like how far you are from each other. And we realized that we was like really close. Being that we both realized that, we was like, well, dang, like we should actually meet. Eventually we did get to that point. I went to his place. At the time, he was a roommate to other people who were going to school to become doctors. So he's going to school to be a doctor, and he had other roommates that were also going to school to be doctors. Now, this guy was Nigerian. When I saw him, he did not look anything like his picture, but it was definitely him. You can tell it was him at a younger age. He looked so much better in person. So he catfished me, but catfished me in like a good way. When I actually met him, he was big, not like fat big. He was like built big, like muscles. He was tall, way taller than me. He had a nice little haircut. You can tell like the picture that he had on Tinder was definitely a younger version of him. Upon seeing him, I was like, wow, like this is not what I expected, but you know, this is still good. So our first meeting, his roommates were around. We were in the living room. We was just, you know, talking and, you know, just getting to know each other, kind of, sort of. It wasn't much, but we was just basically chilling because we had already texted and talked on the phone prior to meeting. So he was pretty chill. I do remember him, like me, I was kind of nervous, but I do remember him like kind of like treating me as if he had known me already. During that first meeting, I think he had cooked, or someone had cooked some African food, and he convinced me to try it, and I did not like it. As a matter of fact, a lot of his stuff that he made did not taste good to me. I didn't like it. There was one thing that I could eat, but everything else was just kind of off. But anyway, but we started dealing with each other real heavy. Like, we would talk on the phone. I would go and see him. He would come over. I would go over. He would spend some nights. I would spend some nights. Like, it got deep. It got heavy. And it got real. I fell for this guy. Like, in my mind, I was thinking, you know, I know, like, eventually something bad is gonna happen. You know, when something is just too good to be true, and it normally really is. I just felt like this was just too good to be true. He was over here going to school, so basically he had some type of visa that would allow him to go to school. From my understanding, he had some type of visa that would allow him to go to school, and when he finished school, he goes back. But if he got married or met someone, he probably could, you know, get his green card and do all the good stuff and stay. And I bring that up because eventually there was this one time where I had found some texts. I found some texts in his phone, and basically he was going back and forth with this female, basically the normal flirty talk, sweetheart, or just stuff like that. And I was not okay with that because we were like really serious. So I'm like, what's going on here? He basically told me, this is what he told me, and I believed him too. I still don't know to this day if it was true or not, but he told me that at that time his aunt was trying to find him someone to marry because he wanted me to know that what we had going on was serious. So he didn't want to come off as that guy, that foreign guy that was gonna try to start a relationship with somebody, take advantage by, you know, asking them to marry him when it could come off, you know, a little scamish like. So he said that his aunt in Florida was basically on a hunt for him a girl to marry, and that it would just be basically you know, a marriage on paper so that he can get his green card and eventually stay in the States. He said the messages that I saw was basically the end of what was happening because he basically said he couldn't do it. He didn't want to be involved with somebody for that reason. If he was going to find somebody to marry here in the States, it was going to be real. It was going to be organic. It wasn't going to be something that was paid for, basically. There was another time, I don't remember it clearly, but there was another time where I found some messages that made me uncomfortable as well, and we had a little riff-raff about it. Those were just text messages. It was just basically entertaining people via text on the phone, via text basically. And I forgave him, and we kept it moving. Fast forward, we got really serious, really serious. His feelings grew, his feelings grew, my feelings grew. Like, we became so in love. He eventually met my daughter, and he actually babysat for me one time. That was terrible. He tried to teach my daughter multiplication at an early age, and it wasn't something that Americans was learning at that time. Well, at her age, like, I guess Nigerians or African people learn things a lot faster or early on than Americans. So he thought, like, you know, she should know this, and I'm like, that ain't how it works here in America. My babe disliked him for that, but eventually she came around. But he was really something to me, and eventually something happened. Let me think what happened. Oh, I know what happened. So there were a couple of times where he would ask me for money, and that kind of made me feel some type of way because one, he could see that I was clearly a single mother, and two, like, you a man, you're not supposed to be asking me for money. Like, I can understand if I gave you money, but don't ask me for money. Like, that was kind of strange to me. I think it happened a total of about 3 times. And it wasn't give me some money. It was let me borrow some money. His parents, like I said, he was going to school. His parents, for the most part, send money here to take care of him and, take care of his basic needs, pay his portion of the rent and stuff like that. Something was happening with politics, and somehow his mom had trouble getting some money over it. I don't know. I think it happened like at least 2 times where his mom was supposed to send some money. It was gonna come, but it was gonna be late, and he needed some money from me to go ahead and pay for rent, and he was gonna give it back to me. But I was like, no, and I told him, like, I don't feel comfortable doing that, and I don't want to ever have to do that. But again, he asked me a second time. I had to tell him the same thing, and both times he got upset a little bit, and we stopped talking for about 2 to 3 days each time when he had asked me for that money, and I had told him no. He kind of like got in his feelings, and something just wouldn't click. Like, why would he act that way? Like, if it's my money and I'm telling you no about my money, then that shouldn't make you feel like you're entitled to my money. And I started like getting a little worried about that. Another thing that I started getting worried about was the fact that, oh, this is embarrassing. In bed, okay? At first, when we first started dealing with each other, it wasn't all that great. And I kind of wondered, like, why. This was a big guy, like a big guy. And I started thinking, because you know how they say when a guy is like heavy in the gym, he's kind of like down there. I started thinking like maybe that was true. However, how can I say it? Eventually, that changed a little bit, but we went through a rough patch where the intimacy part of us just wasn't really there, and I was about to like, call it quits. Not like quit like, oh, we can't be together, but I was gonna, just suggest that maybe we become friends because we just couldn't. It just wasn't going right at all. And I had those thoughts like, I don't understand. Like, to me, it was like he seemed very inexperienced. And mind you, on Tinder, it said that he was 27. At the time, I think I was around 27 as well. I feel like I was somewhat experienced in the intimacy part, but I could tell that maybe he wasn't so much because I had to teach him along the way about a few things. I did become aggravated with that because I felt like, well, damn, you should know. I mean, you're 27 years old, you should know. You know what I mean? So that happened. So we got that, and the fact that he would get upset about money. Those 2 times when he asked me. The third time when he asked me, he was having to take a trip. He was having to go home for something, and something happened with his original flight plans, I think, and they had to switch some stuff around. And when they switched the flights around, it ended up being more money than he had anticipated on paying. He asked me for it again. I'm like, dude, I'm not giving you no money. Like, this is the last time I want you to ask me for money, because you're making me feel uncomfortable asking me for money. So I'm not giving that to you. Like, don't ask me for nothing else, please. You know I'm a single mother out here. Yes, I have my job. Yes, I have my bills. I have my car note. Like, I have my own things that I'm responsible for. I can't take care of anybody else. Just me and Amora. Don't ask me for nothing else, please. Again, he got upset about it, and I told him, like, I don't understand why you ask me for money when you already know the answer to it. I don't understand why you keep putting us in this predicament. I don't understand why you get upset, but like, I'm not the one. Like, don't do that. So I was thinking about all these things, and I was like, something just ain't right. Something just ain't right. So I had asked him, I think I had asked to see his passport, because I just couldn't understand why. I didn't understand why a grown man would be asking a single mother for some money and not understand from the first time why she couldn't do that. And I couldn't understand why a grown man was just so inexperienced and bad. So I started asking about the passport, and he had told me, he gave me some story about leaving it somewhere. He didn't have it to show at the time, okay? So I kind of just put it in the back of my head and just kept it moving. We kept dealing with each other. I don't think we ever went on like an official date, honestly. We did a lot of kicking and chilling, because again, I called him med school. He was a student, and he depended on his parents basically to take care of him. And I was okay with that. Like, chilling, we did a lot of chilling. We actually got to know each other like on a real, I don't want to say a deep level, but we got to know each other to a certain extent. Because I don't know if you ever dated out of your culture, but Nigerians, like, they real tight on information. So I read about some stereotypes that was common about Nigerian guys, and I remember him saying, like, no, like, don't put me in that category, don't do that, don't go look into any of that, like, leave that where it said that has nothing to do with me, don't box me in. And I'm like, oh, okay. But now that I think about it, like, a lot of those stereotypes that I did read up on, like, they ended up being like true, dealing with him. So I'm gonna fast forward. Eventually, there had came to a point to where he was considering moving to Canada, and that was gonna be no, let me back it up. We had a pregnancy scare, and I thought I was pregnant, but I wasn't. I thought I was pregnant, and the way he reacted, I think this was the turning point. I had missed my period. It was around finals. It was in between like a November to December type thing, and he was getting ready to go to Canada as well. He was supposed to go to Canada and go to Nigeria. I have no idea, but I guess I was stressed. I was stressed on the inside from school. I was sad because he was leaving, and I felt some type of way about that. Like, I just had a lot of emotions going on with me, and I think I was stressed at work as well. So I had a lot going on, and I missed my period. Like, I didn't get it for the month of November. And I had told him, like, hey, I think I might be pregnant. He was like, okay, well, just get a pregnancy test, and we'll handle it from there. And from my recollection, the time that I told him to the time that I was able to get the pregnancy test, it was a little time in between, and there was conversations that was had, text messages that was sent, and it wasn't positive at all. It was like he tried to stress me out even more. He tried to blame me for getting possibly pregnant. He tried to comfort my character as a single mother. He tried to say that he would not be around, he would not be a part of it. He tried to call me all types of names via text message now. At some point, I felt like he tried to threaten me. It was bad. It was really bad. And I saved those text messages for a very long time before deleting them so that I can remember, what type of guy he was, because dealing with him was something that, I don't know, we had a real strong connection and a real strong vibe. We had a real bond. Like, this guy understood me. He, with him being Nigerian and big and just, beastie, that was the type of guy that I've never had before. And that was the type of guy I always felt like it was what I needed in my life, because I'm a Leo. I'm strong-headed, I'm stubborn, I'm bossy, I will run over you if you let me. I'm a lot of work. I'm a difficult woman. And probably 5 times difficult than the normal woman. So to have him the way he was, this dude could tell me straight up, I could be flipping out, talking mad money, da 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 da, and he'll be like, "Are you done? Are you finished? Now come lay down." He just knew how to handle me in a way that nobody else has ever handled me before. He was just so manly and just so, I can't explain it. It's like finally meeting a man, a man. He was a man to me. There was a lot of times where he would just, all he had to do was say something, and I would just, I don't know, it's so hard to explain. He would just say something, and it could be the way he said it, the tone of his voice. I remember him saying something to me one time, and a tear just rolled down my face. Now, I've never reacted that way towards anybody, but this guy, he just had something over me. And there was a lot of times where we would stop talking, and he would call me up, and boom, there it was. We just had that connection, that bond, to where I felt like we just would never end. It was toxic, probably for him, probably for me, for the both of us. And I say all that to say that even though he sent those text messages and said what he said, we still eventually started talking again, because he sent those messages. Oh, I ended up not being pregnant. He ended up apologizing for that and was basically saying, he was hot-headed, he was scared, he was nervous, he didn't know how to respond. He knew that he was going to be leaving, but he also didn't want to leave a baby behind, and he didn't want me to be pregnant. He didn't want a child he wasn't ready for. He just, it was just the way he responded. Now, the way he responded towards me about that, and the way he responded about the money, and the way he responded, in bed, that just had me thinking, this guy, he cannot be the age he says he is. Because even though he can handle me like a man, or he could handle me like a man, like a manly man, and put his foot down and be like, no, this is what we doing, and you're gonna listen, you're gonna be quiet, and you're gonna accept it, and you're gonna say, yes, daddy. But even though all that could happen, I still felt like something was off with him. Like, even though he can be this manly person, he still had some childish ways, and I could not just put my finger on it. Well, after that, the situation with the text messages, I had put in my mind that I was not gonna deal with him no more. Well, eventually, after I told him that I was not pregnant, we stopped talking for a while. And when it was time for him to go to Canada, like actually go, he hit me up and asked me if I wanted to come and see him off, and that he was gonna be getting, I think he was supposed to be leaving the next day or something like that. And just to go, just to say bye, I went. And when I went to go say bye to him, that's when he told me that he was actually 4 years younger than I was. So again, he actually did catfish me. He was 4 years younger, and when he said that, it made sense. Our dealings, our situations, the way he responded to certain things, the way he couldn't take no for an answer when it came to the money situation, the way he felt like entitled to my money. It made sense. All of it made sense. Now, I was shocked that I let somebody like this manly man. Now, Nigerians, some of it can trick you. Like, when you look at them, like, some of them be looking older than what they appear to be. Like, they could be young as hell, but you wouldn't know because they are built. Like, this man was taller than me. He had muscles, and his face structure. Like, he honestly, he was giving me 30, but really, this guy at that time was 23. I think he was 23 while I was 27. I think that was the age. Or he was 24. Yeah, he had to be like 23, around the age of 23, and I was 27, I think. So yeah, it dawned on me that, even though he was this manly man person that could really check me and put me in place, because like I said, I'm a lot, and I need to be checked sometimes. Not everybody can check me, but this dude was, he was able to do that and be younger than I was, and I had no idea. Eventually, he left and he went off to Canada. I did not speak to him, I don't think, after that, because I felt betrayed. Like, he had lied about his age the whole entire time that we had dealt with each other. So I was pretty much like, I had put in my mind that I was fine with whatever happened after that, because one, he had disrespected me to the fullest via those text messages when I thought that I was pregnant, and that really like turned me off a lot with him. And when he revealed his true age to me, I was like, okay, I'm like, in my mind, I'm all the way done. I would say about, I don't even know, I can't even put a time frame on it, but eventually he ended up getting to where he needed to be. He got to Canada, but somehow ended up in Nigeria. I don't think he could have, I think something happened to where he couldn't stay in Canada. He ended up being sent to Nigeria, and he was home there for a while. He reached out to me on WhatsApp, said something that really pissed me off, and I ended up blocking him. Ended up talking to him. Nigerian men are persistent, okay? After that, in the conversation, it didn't go well, okay? It didn't go well, and it finally ended. I would say that the biggest thing that I learned from that was, all that look good, how do they say it? All that glitters is not gold. Even though like this guy appeared to be the dream guy that I have always wanted to deal with, wanted to be with. Shoot, I thought he was gonna be my husband, honestly. When it came to look, when it came to ambition, like when it came to drive, like he had everything. Like, my goodness, he was going to school to become a doctor. Like, he was so smart. I had, it would be times where I would see him like study, and that was like a turn on. There were times where I would just see him taking notes, like small things like that. Like, he was really working towards his career and his schooling, and he just he just came off like a real possible husband for me. And for it to turn out like it did, like it really baffles me a lot. It turned out so bad, so bad. But yes, I learned that all glitter is not gold. You may have your eyes set on this particular type of person who you want to be with, and you may meet that person, but that person may not be right on the inside. It may not work out for the best. And that's fine. That is fine. I did feel like I was holding on to him in a sense, holding on to potential and the possibility. Something clicked to where I felt like, how can I put it? I felt like we would always be doing this. Like we would never end up on the same path. I was going one way, I was wanting certain things. He was going one way, he was wanting certain things, but I was wanting them. He wanted the same things that I wanted, but I was wanting them a little faster, a little quicker, and he was more of a slower pace. So even though I was like this and then turning, he was like turning, and eventually I had to put in my mind that we would never, like even if we did end up on the same path, it would be years from now, and I would really feel like I wasted a lot of time with that. So eventually I had to put in my mind that, you know, I had to let that go. And that was one main thing that I had to learn as well, was basically not hold on to something that's really far off from my path. It was far off from me, and I had to put in my mind that we would never meet up. And like I said, if we did meet up, it would be years from now, and unfortunately I don't have time to waste. I'm 32 and I'm only getting older. So yes, I felt like we would probably be ready. By the time he would be ready, I would probably be like 45, hell. And then after that, even if it didn't work out, I would be too old to be trying to be looking for somebody. So I had to let it go. And you know, I think that it's important for us, like even though we may be close or feeling like this is it, or this is the person, or you know, I can see us doing this, or he has so much potential. Like even though we could be that close to it, it doesn't necessarily guarantees that this is it, like that's for us. And sometimes you have to stop and evaluate and make sure, you know, the stuff that you wrote out for yourself, the plans that you've made, you have to like check yourself and make sure you stand by them. Like you can't just be deviating from what you want and what you know you want just because someone is in your life and they could possibly match up to what you want eventually. Like, no, you need to stick to the course. You gotta stick to the course. You gotta stay on, you know, stay on trend, stay moving, stay doing what you need to do to get you to where you need to get. If they are not ready for the ride, then they need to get off the train, basically. So I had to learn that through this, and I had to accept the fact that he was not ready for this train ride that I was on. So eventually we had to let it go. And yeah, that's how that ended. And that is the last, that is the last of the boyfriend series. We have a finale. We do have a finale. We're gonna film that next week. So stick around for the finale because you do not want to miss it, okay? If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If you can relate to this story, let me know. If you have talked to a foreign guy, let me know. Like, what's your story on it? How did it go? That would be interesting to hear. All right, until next time, I will catch you guys later. Bye.